cloud gift is very special. Only the most ancient and powerful vampires know it. But Lestat is only 159 years old. I don't know what you think ancient is. I mean, that's old. But that is not ancient. Welcome in, fellow ghouls and ghosts, to my review of episode 6 of Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. Last week's episode was quite traumatic, particularly for me, and I see in the comments, particularly for a lot of you, I think it messed us all up, both on Claudia's angle, but also on the domestic violence that was perpetuated in the house by none other than Lestat. Now, this is an episode that attempts to do a little downtime. This is what happens in a movie after a particularly horrific or action-packed scene. They want characters to go to a place that is a little safe, a little more calmed down, to wind us down so they can blow us away again. And they do this. Now, this is reconciliation going on in this story. The first thing we have to get over is to watch poor Louis allow forgiveness to encapsulate his heart and for him to give in to the idea of taking Lestat back. Now, of course, he went through the process of healing and going into torpor and being a broken vampire as Claudia fed him rats. And for years this would go on until he was healthy and, like a true evil ex or abusive lover who has left the house, suddenly starts crawling back with gifts and promises that they will change. And unfortunately, it was very painful to watch both Claudia and Louis take him back. Now, one of the things they wanted was complete honesty. And for the first moment in the series, we get actually Lestat giving us moments of being real. He tells the story of how he is created and how his sire was going to feed on him for days, left him locked in a tower filled with bodies, some dead, others half alive, and he never knew if he was going to be a meal or what. His creator turned him into a vampire for unknown reasons, but continued to lock him in there, making sure that he would starve and weaken. Eventually, he figured out who he and what he was. However, when he got out of the tower, he was able to watch his sire kill himself, throw himself into the flames of the fireplace, conveniently destroying any possibility for Lestat to learn or understand anything about vampires. Tragic. And a likely story. Now, while watching the way the scene is, the camera is panning in between Louis and Claudia. It's actually quite beautiful. And it's going on to the actor Sam Reed, who's playing him, and he seems so sincere and so earnest. The problem is that the story is too convenient. We know that he's hiding stories about vampires and other information more, so it seems too good to be true. Plus, remember, don't forget, Lestat is the father of lies, I believe quoted by Claudia herself. And so in this episode, we don't find out if he's lying or not, but I feel there is zero possibility that much of that story was real. I think it was embellished, and he told them what they wanted to hear so they would get off his back. Now, another troubling thing about this scene is he makes promises, how he's going to change and how he's going to do all these things. One of the promises he's going to do is he's going to get rid of his side piece, that opera singing girlfriend of his. Now, however, of course, our snooping friends find out that she is alive. He promised he was going to kill her. He faked her death, and he's still not only having an affair with her, but she seems to be the sounding board where he gets to vilify our other characters. And I gotta say, I hate to talk like I was in a role-playing game or something. However, if I was in that situation, I would absolutely kill her if I was Louis or Claudia. I would wait till Lestat went off and did something else. You know, if I was Claudia, I would wait for Louis and Lestat to go have some private time alone, and then I would go jump her and murder her, because the girl is trouble. Having her in play is trouble, but however, that would send a sign to Lestat. What's he going to do? In order for him to confront me about killing her, I wouldn't make it obvious that I did it, but he'd know. But if he confronts me, then he'd have to admit that he lied, and he'd have to admit that he lied in front of Louis. Think about it. It would have been perfect, but of course nobody decides to act, mainly because Louis doesn't want Claudia to act. Poor Louis. He's just a fool in love, forever in love, like a damn idiot. Now Claudia, who is slowly trying to tolerate Lestat, can't deal with this anymore, and she decides to leave this time, going on her own journey to Europe. Now she's trying to venture out on her own. And there was a very interesting little segment about her riding in steerage as a stowaway because she was a Negro vampire. She had no place on this train. It was a fascinating little thing, and you actually get to see the actress, the way her eyes light up, and she's so excited to be riding the train. It's like this girl has a mortal life and has powers that you and me can only dream of, and yet for some reason she's excited about taking a trip out of town or whatever. It's fascinating. However, all sorts of strange noises come from the other place, and I was not expecting what we see next. Lestat bangs in there wearing the conductor's hat, and he has a severed head of the conductor, and he's using his mouth to talk like a complete psychopath. Now, I don't know if any of you know Vampire the Masquerade, but he started acting like a Malkavian more than he was a Toreador. It was very bizarre, very scary. That's the thing. Lestat has this inner, really darkness. I don't mean dark like he feeds on people and he kills them. Like, I mean Mortal Kombat levels of crazy that we should be scared of. Playing with human heads? I don't know. Drinking for substance? Okay, that's cool. Human head play? That's some Jeffrey Dahmer nonsense. But it's interesting, while he's out there talking to her and explaining how she has to come back, because remember, she is the replacement child. She is the child that they had to solve their marriage problems. And if he's going to keep Louis wrapped around his finger, he needs her. And what's interesting is at the end of their conversation, he's playing with a dog at the time. And then he says, "Back in your cage, bitch." And he puts the dog in her cage while he's having this conversation. But it's funny, he's not speaking to the dog. He is putting Claudia in her place, and it was very scary. Upon her return, she continues playing night after night chess with him, and over the years, is getting better and better. And this is the problem. This is the problem with playing the game with the same person. You could beat someone 1,000 times, whether you're sparring or you're playing checkers, chess, whatever it is, but eventually they're going to learn your tricks. They are going to defeat you. And this idiot, this egotistical fool, loses his mind from losing. He's a villain that has to be foiled. I love the character so much. It pisses me off that he's so blind and so easily falling for this. He's falling for Claudia's nonsense. Now, Louis doesn't have a lot to do in this episode. Earlier on when he was healing, he did, but he doesn't have much going on. Another thing of note, and I don't know how they're going to use this in the story, is World War II is on the brink, and every time they go to the theater, they're watching new newsreels of Hitler marching through Poland or, taking the Rhineland. The things that are eventually going to lead to World War II. Now, obviously, our characters, at least two of them, are set for Europe, and that's a book detail that I think everyone knows. I think most people who venture into the show at least know the movie, right? So that's fine. But I think it's possible that they're going to be in Europe during World War II, and we're going to see like Nazi vampires and stuff. And I think I'm all about it. I think that should be very interesting to see vampires hanging out in a World War II setting. I think I absolutely love it. We finally come to our final scene, and this is outside of the flashback. This is Daniel. Daniel's having medical problems, and he goes to sleep early because he has a new medication, and he starts to dream. He starts to dream about a gay bar in 1973. They've talked about it multiple times. It's where the original interview with the vampire took place in the novel, but also in this series. They originally had an interview that went back to 1973, and we get to see it, and we get to see a young Daniel, who, by the way, excellently cast. I like that actor. I hope we see more of him. And we get to see them in the 70s clothes, and it's funny that Daniel is kind of like he's like a drifter. He's a reporter, but he's broke, and he can't pay his tab, and he meets up with Louis, and Louis has more hair than usual in the 70s outfit. And it's fun, and I'm like, where is this going? But I'm having fun with it, and suddenly something happens, and I don't know what to make of it, and I don't know what to do with it, and it's that cliffhanger. So Rashid is there, Louis' ghoul, his familiar or ghoul, whichever phrase you want to use, the human he is his servant and that he feeds off of, is there in 1973, just as young and just as beautiful, like he hasn't aged a day. And he actually is invited to go hang out with them. And he actually says, "No, man, I'm chilling. You just do your thing." Like they're equals. And it cuts away. And suddenly, like, Daniel wakes up and he's like, what does it mean? I have no idea. I've already seen the wild speculation on the internet. I have no idea what it means. I'm lost. This didn't happen in the book. So I have some theories, but they're all half-baked. So I'm not going to share them with you. But what I'd rather is you share your theories about what's going on with Rashad and Louis in 1973 down in the comments. Please let me know what you thought of this episode. And please keep tuning in to Kill Me Like One of Your French Girls. It is always such a pleasure to do these videos and to be here with you guys. Until next time, ta-ta, ghouls and ghosts.